Sausages are made from all parts of the animal. We don't necessarily need the primal cuts, but we need good meat from good animals to start with. That'll determine the outcome of your sausages. We want the secondary cuts, the tough cuts, glands, sinews, all those things. So it's not necessarily using the junk of the beast, it's using the whole beast. I often promote whole beast cooking, and sausage making is using up the trim from the animal. The best cuts of meat I find are from the forequarter. So this is pork, the Otways pork, south of west of Victoria. I love trying to get hold of the free-range pork. I think that'll give you far better flavours. This is a forequarter, as I said. Get it from your butcher, boned like this, or debone it completely yourself. It doesn't take long, and it's part of that process of just enjoying the craft of making sausages yourself. And we've also got over here a lamb forequarter. It comes from about a 22 to 24 kilo beast. A mutton you'll find will be a bit larger. I think mutton has more fat and more flavour through its age, but a lamb forequarter is easy to get hold of from all of your butchers. A beef forequarter is a fairly big piece of meat to handle, so I think in the starting out you're doing sausages, go for these two cuts. You'll have lots of trim off the beef. We use shin in the beef, we use chuck and other cuts. The equipment that you're going to need is a sturdy chopping board. Beneath I've got a non-stick cloth just to help it stabilise your work area. A cleave if you're going to be boning the product yourself. A boning knife. You don't have to have a boning knife, but it's pretty comfy to work with. You use whatever you feel comfortable with. And probably a slicer just to get into your bigger cuts to slice if need be. Stainless steel bowls. You can use ceramic bowls or wooden bowls, but I do suggest stainless steel bowls of varying sizes. Fairly inexpensive mincer and the basic attachments that go with it. But I've got a terrific sausage press that's quite easy to get on the internet. This is the basic sausage maker. It comprises of a cylinder to hold the meat, a press to press a sausage through, and then the nozzles, and you can adjust the nozzle size according to the casings for your sausages. Very simple, very inexpensive, and makes your life a hell of a lot easier. We all expect sausages to be in skins. You can freeform sausages, which I'll show you later on. We can use just Glad wrap. The Americans call sausages patties as well. The basic thing we need are sausage skins. I've got a couple of types of sausage skins here. I do prefer to use natural casings. This is a hog casing. So this is about 20 feet of hog casings, continuous. They are salted and packed away or preserved in salt or a brine. The other one we have here is called a collagen casing. I don't heavily recommend them, but sometimes lamb casings are difficult to get hold of. And so collagen casings are the way to go. They are a bit simpler to use. You don't need to salt them or string them or wash them. You put them straight onto your pipe and away you go. You'll also need twine. You have a fine cotton twine, easy to bake with if you're going to keep them tied and cook them. And you have more of a butcher's twine, which has a nylon base to it. And that essentially is the equipment that you'll need to get cracking, making your own beautiful sausages. Having boned our forequarters, I'm just going to show you, this is the lamb forequarter, simply cut off the bone and then just roughly cut. We'll cut it a little bit finer to get through our mincer. This is the pork shoulder. It is quite lean, this shoulder, and we can introduce fat to give it that more unctuous flavour. Don't be afraid of the fat. That's what gives the sausage that moisture and that real taste. A very lean sausage will give you a dry, crumbly and unpleasant sausage. This is the beef for our sausage. Now don't forget, use all the trim of your for your sausage. Don't use your primary cuts. There's a bit off the loin. There's some meat here that's off the leg. There's bits off the rib. It's all just trimmed with fat. There's sinew in that. It's all flavour. Okay, this is the first mincer that I'm going to show you. It's all very simple. The trick is to make sure it's very clean prior and after you use it. Spend time cleaning it, spend time inspecting it for little bits of meat. It can contaminate and you can get sick. So we fit that in. and lock it in with the attachment on the side here, firm. This is the shaft that brings the meat up to the chopping blades. Insert in. This is the blade. It's a one-way blade. You can see the smooth side and the sharpening side. This will go in next. We have the discs, coarse disc and the fine disc. We'll start with the thicker holes. There's two lugs here. This locks it in. This is the retaining lock that we put over the top. Holding that in, not crossing the thread and tightening it right up. We have the feeding tray. It just locks on top. Finally, we have the plunger. Now, people are inclined to get their fingers down, they lose fingers. Always use the plunger to plunge your meat down and the mince will come straight through. This is our pork trim. We're going to cut it down to size so it fits into the little hole that's up here. So now we're just going to chop it up, just roughly. There's no fixed size for it, just so it gets down that hole. It makes it easy for the machine. Don't try and cut too fast. You don't want fingers and nails in your sausages. That crunchy bit isn't really appealing. This is all nice. It's got sinew in it. There's connective tissue, all parts of flavour and texture in the sausage. You don't want it bland. Then we're going to feed it through the mincer. Okay, this is going to make a little bit of noise. Don't be afraid. So here we have it. It's a lovely home minced pork. It's always nice to do it yourself. You know what's gone in it. I'd be quite happy to see a bit more fat content through that. Once again, flavour and moisture. This is the KitchenAid mixer I was telling you about. It's the same fixtures as we had before. This is the main part of the mincer. Slide it straight in. Do up the little clamp on the side pin. The shaft. Fit it in. The KitchenAid has the benefit of a double blade, this side and that side, so it has quite a long shelf life, this particular blade. It's got the same square mounting. The coarse disc we're going to put in. Once again, the locking cap. Make sure it's firm. And of course, our plunger. Don't do anything unless you have the plunger. This is the 4/4 that we had earlier. It's all boned. There's all little bits and pieces, all great for fresh sausage. If you were making preserved sausages, as in salamis and things like that, all this kind of blood and glands would be removed from the sausage. But for fresh sausage, this is all flavour, it's all using the whole beast. The fantastic tattoo here is not actually a tattoo, it's a stamp which comes through the abattoirs. As you can see, LMB, it's stamped officially as lamb, not mutton. And that's the reason why you have that ink, all edible. This is, once again, still a little bit too large to go through the mincer. Don't worry about that fat that you can see on it. It will all go through for good sausage making. So we're just grabbing all the bits of meat, bringing it all down to the right size, ready to go through that mincer hopper. This is about 2.5 kilos of meat. This is getting the best out of your home animal. It's no use sending it all out to the dogs, just give them the bones. You're better off making your own sausages. This is a smaller hopper, so it's a little bit slower to get your meat through it. It's a strong mixer. This has done a lot of sausages for our family. can see the fat is going through here in a nice mix. Generally they say you're looking at about 30% fat and 70% meat. That's ideal. Don't be afraid of it. Some people incorporate their flavours in the first instance. They'll grind their garlic and chilli through the meat. And there you have it. What I'd call premium lamb mince. Plenty of fat, plenty of flavour, plenty of moisture, ready to now flavour up and start putting through our casings. Okay, we're going to use the other half of that lamb mince and just make a Moroccan spiced lamb sausage. Now this is a spice mix that I make. You can make it up in bulk, it'll keep for months. So spice mix in, it's quite spicy. You can put in this chopped currants or chopped prunes to keep that Moroccan flavours going through it. But for this instance, we're just going to use spice. Fresh garlic, we're going to put raw garlic in this one. And some onions. Some white pepper again. Some salt. Some of that rice flour. About half a cup again. About a cup of water. Or thereabouts. Mix it through thoroughly. You could serve this with couscous and a nice orange and red onion salad, beautiful. So see those spices mixing through fairly well through the mixture. So I think you can have a bit more water in that. And if you wish, you could run this through the mincer again to get a finer textured sausage, but it's chunky, it's yummy, it's home style. Now, because we're making these sausages ourselves, we're going to be eating them fresh. You can freeze them. There's no need for us to put preservative in it. Now, preservatives were used extensively by butchers. Now they're not allowed to do that. One of the preservatives they use in sausage making and in preserving sausages, like your salamis and things like that, are nitrates and nitrites. They're not allowed to be used, or they're not recommended to be used in a commercial sense, but in the long-term preservation for your salamis and those kinds of meats where they're fermented sausage with a lot more salt and the nitrates. And curiously enough, where these nitrates originally came from were the urine crystals from horse stables, believe it or not. The Italians used the horse urine crystals in the original salamis and fermented meats many years ago. So I don't mean to put you off those beautiful products, but that's where the first nitrates came from. This is the fun part of the sausage making. This is our sausage maker. This is the cylinder that we will put the sausage mix in. Just drop it in, tilt it up. We're going to put our sausage mix in that, but before we do, we're going to select our nozzle to put our skin on. So this is that nice thick hog casing that we had. We'll select the medium one. We'll wet the cylinder first to make the passage of the meat smoother. So we're wetting that cylinder, then we're just getting our mixture and just packing it straight in that tube. All in. Just lower it down and we'll put the pin in to prevent it sliding along. And just insert the cylinder and just bring it up to touching the meat. You can just see it's starting to ooze now. There's a retaining ring. Straight over the tube. We'll wet the tube outside and inside. And careful not to cross thread. Tighten up. And once again, wet the tube so it's easy for this to slide on. Grab the end of the cog casing, slide it over the end of the tube, like so. And then just feed it on. Let it just twist its own way on, nice and gentle. You don't want to tear the casing, and it will twist. So just get that on. There's a little binder ring there, you can see. It's just preventing the expansion. There we go. And just keep sliding it on, working your way through. Pretty easy. All right. That should be enough for this case. So you can just quite easily break it. Hang it out there so you don't have to search for the end again next time. Now you want the bench wet because you want it to slide around once the sausage comes out. So splash a bit of water on your bench, get it slippery, like so. Then you don't need to tie the end because you want a little bit of air, this much air to rush out. And without too much effort, the sausage, you can see it now comes down. So now we're just going to let the sausage take itself out. Don't worry about too much air in it, because we can get that out a bit later on. So just turn it out. Just feeding it off. Easy as. This will come out a bit faster than your mincer. So it's not a big investment, but gee, it makes life much easier. You don't want it too tight in there, see it's quite packed. So ease off the skin or put more pressure on. So that now is lovely looking in the style of the Italian big round sausage style. And that's it. So we still have a little bit left in here, and that can be the little pan fry later on. So that's our sausage, folks. You can see the little air bubbles in there. So now with the knife, you can just take those little air holes out. This is that lovely Italian style sausage that you often see. You can cook that wholeless, bolus straight in the pan like that. Or you might want to twist it off in those more traditional shaped sausages. And we're going to go through two ways. There's the tying off method or the twisting to make those nice little patterns of 3 that you see the butchers so cleverly make on a daily basis. So we're just going to pull the end off there, put a knot in the end of it. There we have it. And then we're just going to even out the sausage so it's not too tightly packed. And it allows us to kink it up and twist it to make that sausage individual sausage. Okay. So we have a 5-inch sausage. So twist one way, grab again, pinch, make that kind of cut in there, twist the other way a couple of times, move up again, squeeze off the next shape, turn it back the other way, move along, squeeze off the sausage length, turn this the other way, bring the meat back up to your sausage. If you're getting a bit of a gap, and you can see that there now it's a bit sloppy, just bring the mix up your sausage, so to speak. There's little air bubbles there, just prick them, no drama. So twist it, grab our section, twist the other way. So there's no hard and fast rules. You can stop and do this or prick it all later on when it bursts all over your barbie. Okay, back. There, folks, is your round of sausages. Easy as that. And just tie off. And that is your first lot of homemade sausages. Now we've got the what's left in our sausage maker. What do we do with it? There's this little bit here. We can push that through with the next lot, or wind it all out and get the excess that's in the bottom there. So I'm just going to do one of those freestyle ceviche style sausages, which would be normally just winding that out straight onto a tray, going backwards and forwards. Or grab the mixture that's down inside there still, the excess, and look, just put it in there like that. Roll it over. And that, roll it all up. Happens all pretty quick. That's nice and tensioned. Tie one knot in the end. Roll that up. That's quite firm now. And that can just set in the fridge as like a set sausage. When you're ready to cook it, just unwrap it and throw it in the pan as a straight skinless sausage. Or you might want to poach it and slice it like a little bit of terrine. Up to you. Or just turn it into little patties and cook it while you're waiting for your next lot of sausages. Now we're just going to pull this apart and get ready for our next lot. So just off with the end. Take that off. There's a little bit of skin left there. It wasn't very much, so we're a pretty good judge of that last lot. And take this over to the sink and get it well cleaned, ready for our next product. Fat does stick to the plastic, so spend time cleaning it. Okay, now we're just going to make an Italian pork sausage. Pretty simple flavours, not trying to get too clever. We're going to use, obviously, our nice pork, nice fat through that. We've added a bit more fat in that to bring up that fat content I was talking to you about earlier. So this is to give it far more moisture and flavour and softness on your tongue. We're going to put some basil. We're going to do some semi-dried tomatoes. You could use fresh tomatoes if you wanted to, or just dried tomatoes reconstituted. Just a bit of pepper, a bit of salt, and some fennel seeds, some garlic and some onion, and a little bit of rice flour and some water. You could put the seeds in whole. You could roast the seeds beforehand to get a bit of flavour and then grind them. Once again, haven't got the grinder, we're just going to chop them up. So watch they just don't go everywhere. Don't be too vigorous with it, they will go everywhere. Sometimes that little burst of a whole seed isn't so bad. Whilst it sounds crunchy here now, it will soften up as moisture is absorbed from the meat. This is about 1.5 kilos of pork. So some are whole, some are chopped up. Don't be too fast. Salt, pepper. You can use cracked black pepper or that nice whole salt flakes if you wish. It doesn't really matter too much. The semi-dried tomatoes, just going to roughly chop those, get it dispersed. You could add more or less tomatoes. Once again, it's entirely up to you. It's all about experimentation. That's the fun and joy of making your own sausages. Straight in. Once again, it's up to you. We'll have a nice garlicky sausage. You probably can get, although I hesitate to say jarred garlic, but fresh is best. Just chop it up. You can have it chunky or fine, it's entirely up to you. You can have it raw or cooked. I like raw garlic. It's quite sharp in flavour. For a milder sense of the garlic, we can saute it in some olive oil beforehand, before adding it to the mix. There is a certain pickling action with garlic because of its acidity, and it will kind of help create a pink end product. For instance, if you stuff a piece of lamb with garlic, you'll find it pickling just around the surface, just where it touches the garlic. I don't mind a bit of onion in my sausage. Once again, I'm not being too prescriptive, you can put whatever you like. Just finely diced onion. Once again, the amounts are entirely up to you. I don't do all that side cutting of the onions. I think that they often do is that little action in the onion, unnecessary. Pick through the basil. They're slightly brown. It won't make too much of a difference because it's going to get cooked and it'll discolour in the meat anyway. This is just the traditional that you'd expect, that summery Italian pork sausage. Chunky, fennel, basil, tomatoes. You might want to put dried oregano through your sausage, that aniseedy flavours of the fennel. Alright, just going to scrape that into the pan. Just starting to sizzle there lightly now. Now we just want to sweat those onions a little bit or cook them without colour. If you want caramelised flavour in it, cook them a little bit longer. There's no rules about this. It's all about freestyling your own sausage making. Okay, we've got these sautéed onions. Just throw on a plate and put them in the fridge and cool down a bit. Once again, you put as much or as little as you like in it. Okay. These are our sautéed onions. Just throw them in with the mixture here. So they've been in the fridge, they're nice and cool. It's all flavour, all that little oils. Just combine it all, make sure it's nice and mixed. Now it's quite dry there, as you can see already, it's tacking up. We're going to add some water that we said. This is about 1.5 kilos, about a cup of water, and probably about half a cup of rice flour. That's that cereal. Now we're just going to combine all that up together. You can take more water if you want to extend the sausage and the economy. Okay, so hook into that. So as you can see, it's tacking up again. Just to give you an example of what I was talking about with the water, you could add a bit more water, a bit more flour, and this is adding grammage to the product. Once again, the flour will start to absorb. You don't want the mixture too firm. You want it to be kind of moist so it slides through those skins. Because what will happen, you don't eat the sausages straight after making them. They're called setting the sausages. So you'll fill the skins, let them hang, and that moisture will be absorbed into the cereal and the meat, and they'll be set. So as you can see, it's come up nice and firm again. We're going to go through that little practice again of just tasting it, and then we'll adjust the seasoning. So making your little bag, rolling it up, giving it a twist, and doing that 20 seconds in the microwave, and adjust your flavours accordingly. So now we're ready to throw it straight in those casings. Now we're going to get stuck into our pork sausage. You can see as you separate it how it oxidises. It's grey inside. It won't show up once it's all cooked. So get that mixture in. All right. Well, drop that in. Once again, we're wetting our bench, getting ready for the sausage. And we're away. There we go, easing it all out, sliding along the wet bench. Moving along. Very important to keep that bench wet, otherwise these will just stick to the bench. There we go, and there we have it. Okay, now we're going to tie these pork sausages off. Once again, just, you can see it's quite tight there. We'll just even off that mix through the sausage skin. Just so it's not quite so tight. Give get rid of some of the little air holes. You can just use a little needle if you like. You don't have to use this. All right. Okay, let's tie it off. Okay, set our length of sausage. We want that length. So twist. Put it through. So bring our first mix through, twist, and we'll just use that now. Twist him into it. Get our length. Twist. Twist. So you can see it's a little bit tight in there, but it does compress down for you, and tie that off. And there we have our pork sausage, our string of pork sausages. And there we have them, all done. We're now going to start on our beef. Looking at this beef, we've got a reasonable amount of fat on it. We've once again got good connective tissue. We've got some heavy working muscles here, which is going to give us our flavour. You can see none of it's going to go to waste. So this is good solid connective tissue. Mincing that is going to tenderise that or reduce it to smaller amounts so it is more edible. It doesn't need long cooking for that because we've got in the sausage and it's finely ground. We're just getting it down into little bite bits, ready to go down the hopper. If you're interested in knife techniques, we've always trained to keep our fingers not like that, but more like this. Keep your fingers tucked in so your blade is generally running up and down there, not into here. As you can see, I'm picking up these little bits of meat and there's varying colours there. That's called oxidisation. You can see it through here and here. It doesn't taste any different. It's just when the meat's been boned, that's been exposed and it changes colour. This is also from a beast that's been aged about 6 weeks. So it'll be more tender, it'll have more flavour developed, and with age the enzymes break down the meat, which gives it more tenderness. So if you're on the farm and you can leave your meat hanging as long as you can, all the better for flavour. Whilst I'm not into dietary things, fat is good for us in small amounts. You're not going to eat a kilo of these sausages, so you're only going to eat a couple of sausages. So that might equal to the amount of butter you'd probably eat in a day. Don't be afraid of the fat. Right, now we're going to get this meat through the mincer again. Off we go. Once again, keeping your fingers out of the hopper. The smaller the pieces, the easier they are to get through and easier on the machine. Now this mince is working a little bit harder, getting through the firmer connective tissue that is of a beef. It's a little bit older than a lamb. It's obviously its muscles and fibres are bigger, creating more work for our mincer. My going on about the fat might not get the tick of approval from the Heart Foundation, but I can assure you we'll get a tick from the Taste Foundation. All that connective tissue is now ground, you can see it coming through. Once again, you can see that fabulous meat, nice 6-week aged beef with its trim and its fat. Perfect. Okay, so we're just going to disassemble the mincer now. So take off our holding pin. With your hands well away from the machine, turn it on to eject the blades. Wait for it to turn off. Just pull the blades out. With our cloth, just undo the little clip here. So we're just undoing that. just hot soapy water to make sure all that is completely clean. But you can see the sinew around there. It's very important to spend as much time on your cleaning down of all your equipment as it is to paying attention to the flavours of the sausages. So ensure that all the meat particles are out of the unit. As you can see, there's a thread inside here, and that's where the meat catches inside these little threads. And that's the area you've really got to make sure that you get clean. They stay in the machine and it can cause cross-contamination later on. So apply that attention to all parts of it. Right, we're going to make a bratwurst sausage, which is beef. We're going to do about 70% beef and about 20% pork. So there's our little meat mixture there. That's all we'll need. Now, the ingredients to the bratwurst, it's a lovely German sausage. I've pre-made the spice mix here, but I'm going to go through what I put in it to help you out. Some skim milk powder or full milk powder, some red wine. You don't have to use the Grange, a good quality wine is fine. We have some fresh parsley, some dry ginger, some caraway seeds. Now I just chop up the caraway seeds a bit. You can put them in whole if you want, but look, it's just easy enough to just crush them up a little bit. They go everywhere, but it just breaks them up a wee bit. You can put them through a mortar and pestle if you like, but look, it's just as easy to do this, I reckon. It's just more washing up and cleaning. So, or the alternative is just to grind like that, if you're not going to chop them, all right? It's got a component of salt. Now this is salt for flavour, not necessarily preserving. You'll put about 30 grams per kilo if you're preserving in a salami. So we're doing taste, not preserving. So salt, some cardamom, some white pepper, and nutmeg. I like to use fresh nutmeg, but if you haven't got a grater, it's just as easy to chop your nutmeg in the same style. So it's a nice little nut. Just grind it up a little bit like this. Or you can use the powdered stuff, pretty simple, and just chop it away. And it just goes to a powder pretty quickly. And a nice big chunk of it is a big burst in your mouth. So there's your little finely ground spices, I'm sorry. We're just going to do some coarsely chopped parsley. You don't want the stalks in it, so you could use Italian parsley. We've just grabbed this curly parsley. It's probably more easily available in the shops. So, once again, just give it a chop. Once again, there's that finger action I was talking to you before. Keep your fingers well away from your fingertips away from your blades, and feed in with your other fingers from the back here. So, just like that. Pretty simple. And it's kind of, chunky is home style, it's nice. We're not trying to get too refined. This is a homemade natural sausage. Alrighty, so now we're just going to combine all these ingredients. Okay. So the trick is to make sure all these ingredients are well mixed through. That's the skim milk powder and the red wine. This is Grange, not. Okay. It seems like a lot of liquid, but it does all absorb up and it becomes tacky, ready to make the sausage. So you can see it coming together, and it's starting to get a little bit tacky, as in that powder's absorbed. Once again, we've seen what's gone into our sausage. We know there's no preservatives whatsoever in it. These will be lovely fresh sausages. There we have it. So now it's kind of tacky, it's holding itself together. You can see that. When you're trying your sausage mix, there's two ways. You can either just grab a piece and get that saltiness, whether it's right, or the seasoning. If you want to put more wine or more pepper, it's entirely up to you. Rather than tasting it like I did, which some people might find revolting, the easiest way is to do it this way. Just get a bit of cling wrap, get a bit of sausage mix straight onto there. just grab the plastic, fold it over, grab a bit and just twist it off like so. And we're just going to pop that in the microwave for probably 20 seconds or so. So in, 20 seconds, give it a crack. It's now warm tartare getting to a nice little cooked burger. And here is the little bit of sausage mix already made, ready for you to taste. Just turn it out. There it is, formed quite nicely. Just give it a crack and have a taste. And I think that's pretty good. Righto, now we're going to hook into the bratwurst sausage. We're going to use the hog casings again, clean unit. Once again, we're going to just wet our nozzle. We're going to wet the bench. Grab our hog casing, which we've kept on the end. Place over. So we've got a fair bit of mix in here this time, so we're going to put a fair bit of this skin on. Now, for your interest, we've made some sausages earlier. This is still the one length of hog casing. So you can see you'll get plenty of sausages out of the one casing. All right, that should be enough, I think. As before, get our bench wet to slide the sausage on. Bring the first meat down to the end of the nozzle, let the air out, and we're on our way. So you can see that lovely red wine stained beef there. And just limit the flow of the skin coming off. We can see we've got a bit of air in there. We'll be able to push that up later on. Just roll it all out. So let's cut that off. So now we did our last time, we did a nice big Italian sausage look, and we did our roll one way, roll the other way. This is the traditional way that butchers do their sausages. I'm in no way anywhere near as fast as these blokes. So we tie the end off. So we've got an end piece. So we can twist our sausage, get our first length of sausage and twist. Just going to get our length of the sausage right. We'll twist, pull the sausage through, twist, get our sausage length, twist, keep the mixture up there to it, put the mixture through again, fold it over, through, twist, fold it through, get our length right, twist, pull through, twist again, twist, pull through, twist, pull through, come through again, get our length right, twist. Getting a bit tense there in the mixture, so we'll just pull it through a bit. Get our length right. Pull through. Twist. Length through. Then we have our string of sausages. Then they can be just hung up in the shop windows, over the hooks, waiting to dry and set. We're going to make the Greek lamb sausage, so we're going to talk about the flavours of Greece. So this is the mountain oregano, the dried product. You can use fresh product, but sometimes there's that little bit of je ne sais quoi, they call it, that little bit of taste that our own fresh stuff can't do, but the dried stuff has a bit more kick, a little bit like dried bay leaves and fresh bay leaves. So we're just going to use some of this for our sausage. Once again, chilies here again, if you want to put it in, it's entirely up to you. But the main ingredients we're going to put in will be some tomato. So you're thinking like a Greek salad here. We'll put some olives in there. This is some nice soft feta. You could use a Meredith sheep's feta if you wish, which is a bit creamier. Sometimes you're better off putting a hard Australian feta in there, or even a Danish feta, which is a little bit firmer and will hold its shape in the sausage, which you'll see a bit later on. Our friend the salt, pepper, and of course garlic. And I think we'll do just raw garlic in this one. Onion is an option again. You can either put the red Spanish onion in it that you see in the Greek salads, or straight brown onion. You can once again cook that onion and garlic, or leave it raw. Now, just strip the leaves off the oregano. We're not going to try and chop it. There's little blossoms in there as well. Just put it over there, just like so. Once again, you can add and subtract. You don't have to put a heap in. We can do that little sausage test that we do at the end to see if it's got that herby flavour in it. That'll be about enough, I reckon. The olives, you can use any types of olives. Clearly you want the pips out of them. So it's the amount that you wish to put in or don't wish to put in, entirely up to you. I like the olives. If you wanted big and chunky olives in it, that's fine as well. So we'll leave a couple chunky in there. Semi-dried tomatoes, once again it's the same. Now sometimes all these ingredients will be put in there whole and just run through the mincer again. It depends if you can't be bothered doing all this little cutting up, put it through the mincer. Now we're going to give that a bit of mix, see how much we've got in there, and we'll put the feta in a little bit later just to fold it through gently so we don't smash it all up. So we want to get some salt in there. Once again, you can use black pepper or white pepper, no big deal. We'll get a bit of garlic through there as well, I think. It's up to you to put as much or as little of these flavourings in as you wish, and you're going to find that through experiment rather than being told all these things. Okay. So now we're just about to mix all that gear through. So now we're just going to add some water in that rice flour. So once again, it's about 1.5 kilos, about a cup of water. We're going to throw in some rice flour again. That's about half a cup. And we're just going to fold it all through. Once again, getting all that mixture well and truly mixed through. I can feel that's reasonably dry, this mixture. I'm just going to add more water to it because the fat is quite cold and it's not softening up in the mixture. So a bit more water. Add a bit more flour. Once again, we're going to get that mixture kind of sloppy so it goes through the sausage extruder and the skins. As you can see, we've got a nice speckle of the olive, the tomato, the nice fat content through that, and you can see little chunks of garlic in there. We will soften up a little bit more for the piping, and then we'll put the oregano in it and do our taste. You could throw more olives in there if you feel it needs more olives, or you could throw more tomato in there. Once again, it's entirely up to you. And you can see it's quite bound now and tacky. The cheese, we're just going to crumble. This is that nice feta, it's quite firm, and just break it up. Don't try and get too particular about it. It will also melt through that sausage. You could put the other Greek cheese, halloumi, in this as well, and it will definitely hold its shape throughout the mixture and when it's cooked. So that's the feta. I'm just going to softly put it through, and then it will go through the mixture and it will combine itself more readily as it goes through the sausage press. So now we're going to do that taste. So we'll grab ourselves a little bit of cling film, grab a little piece, and send it to the microwave. So here's our little mixture. Just turn that out of the bag. You can see it's fallen apart. You can see the cheese is melted in there. Terrific. Now, I think if you want to go that full Greek flavour, once again, chop up your onions, Spanish onion or a brown onion or a shallot, or even spring onions. Just chop some spring onions and put that through. But I think we've captured the flavours of Greece in that sausage. This is our collagen skins, the thin skins, which is the manufactured skins. And we're going to put some of this lamb mix through here just to show you how I work with the manufactured skins. So it's a much thinner nozzle, as you can see. I'm back on my mincer with the nozzle attachment inside the mincer, and this is why I think it's less efficient than the sausage pusher. Plus we're also pushing a sausage through a thin skin. So I'm turning it on and we're just going to push through. You can see the dry skin on there. It is easier to handle. But the mixture is a bit more difficult to push through this fine thing. So just switching on. All right. Ties off fairly easily. So this is to make the nice little breakfast sausages, the little finer sausages. But that's the collagen mixture. It's far easier to deal with. It's not slippery at all. And we can just make our little sausages pretty easily. And they're our little thin sausages, which it also minces up the mixture a little bit more, and we don't get that nice chunkiness that you can see because they've all been pushed through the fine mixture and made to go a little bit finer. But we'll give those a try. Try it. It's a little bit more difficult, but you're here to experiment. So now we're just going to make the little chipolata sausages. They're those little tiny breakfast sausages. Just squeeze off the length that you want. Just pretty easy. Give it a twist. Give them a twist one way. Twist the other way. Twist one way. And that's pretty simply your little chipolata sausages. So you can vary the length that you like to make them as big or as small as you want. I prefer the big chunky sausage myself. So let's get the sausage skin on. We've got the wet pipe. And just slide that skin straight on like we've been doing earlier. Grab our mince. This is our Greek lamb sausage, it's the last one. And you'll see putting it through this sausage press will keep the cheese where we've positioned it. So it'll have a lot nicer texture. Get that air out. There we go, ease it all out again. You can see the big chunks of feta in there, which is beautiful. There we have it. Alrighty, let's tie these off. get the skin even, get the meat even through the sausage again. You can see it's mashed up a little bit in there. The cheese and the olive, little pieces in there. See the cheese, it's mashed up a little bit there, bit of cheese. So now we'll just tie these up. We'll compact them up a little bit. So now we'll just force the meat up the skin a bit more, get it a bit tighter. And you can see how the sausage comes a bit thicker once we push the meat up through it. So this shows that too much skin went off as we were pushing the meat through the piping mix. So there we have it. Tie it off. So we'll just do that little sausage method again that we did first off. So get our sausage length, turn one way, squeeze off your next mix, turn it the other way, tighten it up. There's our Greek lamb sausage done. Here's the results of our efforts. They will keep using water until that flour has soaked up the moisture. So we call this process setting the sausages. So you don't normally cook them up straight away after making them. You let them set and hang. So we can use twine to do this. Just lengths of twine. Just hang them around a batch here. Just make a loop up this end. Pretty easy. Okay, so you can just hang another loop through there if you wish, just to make it easier while they're hanging. And that way you'll just keep it not sitting in their own juices, and they can just hang over a tray in your fridge. Do another loop. And they can just sit there quite happily in your fridge like so. And the same with these blokes. Just grab a few links. Same thing. You can just try and put another link up there if you like. And just let them hang, and they'll drip some water through the day, through the night, and they're ready for the next day. And it's the same with your bratwurst sausages. Tie it off. And there's the bratwurst hanging there as well. And that, folks, is the sausages. And happy eating. And we're going to cook a few up in the pan now and try them ourselves. Here we go. So these are little sausages that we've all made together. This is our bratwurst. You can see the herbs and stuff in there. Cutting here now. This is our Moroccan lamb. And last, the Italian pork. So as you can see, doing this ourselves, the lovely textures, the coarse textures of the sausage, a Moroccan lamb. You can see the colours of the turmeric coming through there. This is our bratwurst sausage. You can see the differences in the colours, and our little lamb chipolatas. You, pal, tell me which ones you're going to go for. The lamb, and I'll go with you. Yep. So I hope this has given you enough motivation and interest to try this yourself. You can see by the textures and colours, it's handmade. We know exactly what's gone in it. So I encourage you to get out and have a crack, and good luck.